Hey, welcome to the channel, everybody. I hope you're doing well. So please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. This is going to push these videos out to other people. And you know how this works already. We're going to be checking out some clips, and I'll be giving my thoughts at the end of the show. So let's just get right into it, guys. See what we got. We are live.
What if I told you that all corporations are actually just one giant mega corporation? And I'm not talking about metaphorically. And I'm not talking about BlackRock. I'm talking about what's really behind BlackRock. See, we hit 1 million followers on TikTok this week, and I've been waiting to post this video since the very first video that I made, laying the groundwork of understanding so that we're all gonna understand this now that we're here. So let's break it down real simple. If you're gonna go grocery shopping at a corporate grocery store, all of these corporations are owned by these institutions. They're highlighted in red if they're on all 4 of these sheets. They're darker orange if they're on 3 of them, and light orange if they're on 2. And there's only a couple that only appear once. It's mostly the same money. But we go deeper. If you go for the biggest tech companies, it's basically the exact same list for all 4 of these. That would be Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, Fidelity, T. Rowe Price, Geode, which is similar to Fidelity Associated, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley. And then Northern Trust is on 3 of them, and Capital World Investors is the exact same thing as Capital Research and Management Company. So you might think, okay, these are the institutions that own the whole stock market. But who owns them? And see, if you've been around here for a minute, you already know. They all own each other. Just a giant cross ownership pool. And this is where it gets really interesting. Because see, way back before I'd even posted a single video, I was sitting in my office reading this report from an anonymous user on Reddit. And he had noticed the exact same thing that I'm talking about right now. And he wrote a program to put all that data into a visualization so we can see who owns who. And I'm about to show you what he figured out. Let's take BlackRock, for example. This is a list of the top institutional owners of BlackRock and how much of the company they own. And if you visualize it, it looks like this, where the whole square is all of BlackRock's stock, and they get a percentage of that square based on how much they own. And the important colors to note are that white symbolizes us, retail investors, and gray symbolizes insiders that work at the company. So that would be like Larry Fink's stock, among other people. And everything else is other giant corporations, investment banks, like BlackRock themselves own a little bit. State Street owns some. Capital World Management owns some. Bank of America owns some. You see how this works? But then you think about it and you're like, well, wait a minute, because all of these institutions are owned by other institutions, right? So what if we put that data in here? Well, he did. And it looks like this. And you realize that all of this that was owned by Merrill Lynch is actually owned by all of these other institutions. And a little bit of us, retail, up there at the top. But here, we've only replaced Merrill Lynch's section. What about all of these guys? Well, then it looks like this. Remember, white is retail investors like you and me, and everything else is giant mega corporations. And if you go one layer deeper, filling in all those corporations with their corporations, you see how this program's working? And so then we simplify it to just black, gray, and white. And this is who owns BlackRock. White is retail investors like you and me. Gray is insiders at all of these corporations like CEOs and other executives. And black is just corporations owning each other. We'll call it Megacorp. This is the same process done for Bank of America and for State Street and for Best Buy, Amazon, Macy's. Groceries, food, ingredients, building and selling homes, even less white, meaning us, retail ownership. As far as I can tell, there's only one company on the entire stock market that is not owned by Megacorp. Can you guess who it is? Do you know? It's GameStop. Except that this photo's out of date because it's from a few years ago. It probably looks more like this if you believe the public info, which is a big if. But more on that another time. This is not a video about GameStop. This is about Megacorp. Because see, when all of the owners own each other, all of their interests are aligned. BlackRock wants State Street to do well because State Street wants BlackRock to do well because they both own each other. So who is the real final boss behind all the money? Well, isn't that the $1 million question? And ever since I've been asking those more important questions, my follower growth went from this to this. So you're not gonna find those answers on this channel. You're gonna have to go follow me in other places. All I'll say for now is that the next time you buy a product from a corporation like Nike or Costco or Best Buy or Amazon or any of these corporations, you're buying it from the mega corporation. They're all owned by the same big money. and it's all one big siphon, just vacuuming money out of our pockets up to the people on top. We'll make another video about how exactly they do that shortly. For now, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone that is here and here and here. Your support means the world to me, and it allows me to do this work to help support small businesses and help look for like the truth of what the heck's going on in this world. For all you guys that have been here since the beginning, you are legends. I notice you in the comments. I see you. I appreciate you, even if I don't get to as many comments and as many DMs as I used to. For all the people that have helped me do the digging, that have given me tips, that have collaborated along the way, I love you. You're amazing. Please never stop being curious. Do your own research. Don't trust the government, and get ready for a lot of censorship in 2024. So the very first video I ever posted on my page back in May of last year was about who owns everything. It only took us 8 months, a couple hundred videos, and 1 million followers to get right back to the exact same question. Who owns everything?
Well, I think we all know. And we all, well, I won't even say it.
I think that you guys don't know what's going on in education right now. That's fine. Like, how could you know unless you were working in it? But I think you need to know. So here's exactly what it's like right now working in public education. First of all, the kids have no ability to be bored whatsoever. They live on their phones and they're just fed a constant stream of dopamine from the minute their eyes wake up in the morning until they go to sleep at night. Because they're in a constant state of dopamine withdrawal at school, they behave like addicts. They're super emotional, like the smallest thing sets them off. And when you are standing in front of them trying to teach, they're vacant. They have no ability to tune in if your communication isn't packaged in short little clips, or if it doesn't have like bright flashing lights. That's actually the way harder part for me than just the outright behaviors, is just being up at the front, talking to a group of kids who have their eyes open, they're looking at me, but they're not there. They're not there. And they have a level of apathy that I've never seen before in my whole career. Punishments don't work because they don't care about them. They don't care about grades. They don't care about college. It's like you are interacting with them briefly in between hits of the internet, which is their real life. I've seen some TikToks recently where teachers are getting a lot of hate, like for not adapting to the kids or punishing them or whatever. And I just gotta say, like, I can tell you with absolute certainty, it is not the teacher's fault. It might be the parents' fault. It might be our capitalistic society's fault, but it is not the teacher's fault.
Well, depends if you're flying that rainbow flag, then it totally
Wondering
is
why
your
you're
fault.
sick, feeling a little bit under the weather. Won't be anything to do with all this water vapour, will it? So I might sound like a madman talking about this stuff. This is because of the lengths they go to program us into thinking this is normal and distract us from looking up and have us focusing on bullshit that doesn't matter. The only thing that does matter to these people is control, is manipulation. That's the only way they can stay in power. So that's why they do things like this. But it's beyond psychotic. When you know what that really is, and you see it up there every single day, it gives you an idea of what we're dealing with here. This can't be normalised. I don't want to be breathing this in. I don't want nature to be destroyed by this. So the only way we can do anything about it is by speaking up at this point in time, until enough people realise what's really going on in our skies. And it's not just the UK, all across the earth, this is going on.
Yeah, and it's a bigger problem than you might actually realize.
How did we go from fighting a revolution over a 2% tax on a breakfast beverage to what we pay today? And we're taxed on money when we receive it, when we spend it, when we keep it, when we invest it, and even when we die with it. It gets worse. We commute to work to make that money in a car that is taxed again to register on roads we're already taxed to build, fueled by gas that is taxed even further, and many times through tolls that tax you again. And that's to maintain bridges and highways and tunnels that already have billions of dollars, taxpayer dollars, allocated to them, and they're still falling apart. And then when you get to your office that is taxed to exist, in a corporation that is also taxed to do business, that almost certainly requires permits and other things, which are another tax, you are paid a paycheck that the corporation must match another payroll tax on top of what they have to pay you. Then you go to a home of which you are taxed to own every single year that we bought with money that the government already taxed us on. Oh, by the way, the more money you make and the more you pay in taxes warrants the government taking more and even higher percentages of your money.
Yeah, here in Canada, 40% of our paycheck goes to taxes.
The UK is now one of the shittest places to live. Taxes are so high they take most of your money from you, up to 45% income tax. Then on top of that, 20% VAT on everything you buy. Then you've got things like council tax, road tax, stamp duty, the list goes on. The town centres are run-down shitholes, full of crime, stabbings on every corner. The cost of living's so high, it costs most people's hourly wage just to buy a coffee and a sandwich. So no one can afford to live. Everyone works all day just to pay their bills and barely get by, and pay their high interest mortgage, which they end up paying 2 to 3 times more for the house than it was actually bought for. And then once they've finally finished paying this, they can't even hand the house down to their kids when they've worked their whole life and paid their taxes. They've got to pay almost half of it in inheritance tax. And they want to increase tax further from here. You get constant fines through your letterbox for stupid things, and guess what? If you don't pay these fines, they'll keep going up and up until the bailiffs will come and take your car and your house from you if you don't pay it, because you own nothing and you work your whole life as a slave for the system.
Yeah, he's not wrong. We're all just...
China has entered the era of dark factory.
Who has?
God.
China. Dark factory.
It's a fully automated factories with no workers and no lights.
Because they don't need them because they're robots.
And the factories run 24/7 in the dark.
Dude, imagine just walking in there, pitch dark, and you just hear all the noises.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Look at your...
Whoa.
Are these cars?
Those are robots.
No, what are they making?
Isn't that crazy, though? It's super creepy.
Yeah, I don't like that, man.
It's very Matrix feeling.
It's kind of cool, though, when they're doing the zapping and you can see it like a fireworks show.
That's all we care about at the end of the day. It's fun, though.
Yep, bright flashing lights, right, guys?
They canceled this cartoon after it exposed the truth about hospitals. Watch this.
Carter, you've discovered the holy grail of modern medicine. Why the hell would you keep it buried like this?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because there's far more money to be made in treating a disease than in curing it. Why cure someone of cancer in a day if we can treat them for a lifetime and bill them every step along the way?
What? That's insane! Carter, what you're doing here is criminal, and I'm going to tell the whole world about it.
Even Dana White was raging as he came out to expose the exact same thing.
I will never go to a doctor ever again about my general health. They have no clue what they're talking about, and all they want to do is put you on pills. I had the best doctors that you could get from the best hospitals that you could go to. None of them could stop snoring. None of them could get my blood pressure under control. None of them could get my cholesterol, good and bad, leveled out. It's all good now. The medicines are just going to start to stack up. And before you know it, you're going to be on 14 pills with 10 different side effects from each one of them. You're not living the healthy, amazing life that you can. I'm not kidding you. Like he said, I jump out of bed every day ready to kick today's ass.
As the video continues, he talks about how he went from looking like this to this by making only one change. He said he used to have severe problems with breathing, constant sickness, and allergies. That difficulty he had breathing was the root of all his other health issues, and he said the only thing that helped him was natural remedies. And I know Dana isn't a medical expert, but I came across a doctor who was being silenced for revealing a natural way to deal with that recurring cold we all seem to get. Listen to this.
Chronic sinus problems year-round is a mold fungus problem that lives up and through here. So even upper respiratory problems can be affected by the mold or the fungus, and oil of oregano is the absolute best remedy for that.
This is the same thing many health experts have been recommending for years on social media.
Called oregano oil.
Oil of oregano.
With what's going on in the ear today, you want to look into oil of oregano.
Using oil of oregano instead of using antibiotics.
I use it every
day. But you probably haven't heard much about it since their reach was intentionally limited, because the trillion-dollar healthcare industry doesn't want us to know that there are not only more powerful, but also 100% natural ways to fight colds, viruses, and respiratory issues. And this is where it all started to make sense, when I dug deeper and discovered a removed TED Talk that was talking about exactly that.
And it failed miserably. The second reason we don't see it everywhere is money. Don't be fooled. There's a lot of money to be made from keeping you sick.
I don't know about you, but my family and I have already made the switch. Whenever we feel something coming on or deal with any sickness, we rely on oil of oregano instead of popping antibiotics or meds with 100+ side effects that often do more harm than good. But before you grab just any oil of oregano, make sure the one you choose has high carvacrol. Carvacrol is the active component in oil of oregano that gives it its powerful medicinal properties. Personally, I like to use this one from Balanced. It comes in soft gels, so the exact dose is already measured, no guesswork needed. They do tend to run out of stock quickly, so if you're interested in getting a high-quality oil of oregano for yourself and your family, I'd recommend grabbing a bag from the link below before they sell out again.
I didn't know they came in gel form. That's probably the way to go.
Pimpama Village is on track to be a smart city, becoming the first residential community to be connected to a private 5G network. The transmitter ensuring homeowners aren't left behind when new technology emerges.
Retired IT expert Jeff Ward knows a thing or two about technology.
Alexa, tell AnyList to add bread. When we finish a particular grocery item, we just tell the system to order another one.
But inside his home, it's not just the tech that's world class. Data is moving at record speeds.
This connectivity is far superior than standard means, and it's currently delivering about 550% faster.
GemLife's Pimpama Village, the first resident to receive a private 5G network in the country. The transmitter was previously only used on large mining sites, and it's strong enough to battle the elements.
It actually maintained full connectivity through the latest cyclone event for all of our residents in here. So that was really important, so they could stay connected and up to date of the weather events.
And can keep up to date with rapid advances in technology.
If we wish to introduce autonomous vehicles to assist our community get around the site, well, this is the sort of network you require.
The network is now expanding to other sites around the country. Bella Schwarzenegger, 9.
Well, I mean...
Now, I want to show you a piece of quartz crystal in its natural form. Now, if we were to examine this carefully, we can see that the quartz crystal has a hexagonal cross-section. That is to say, it has 6 sides. Now, also, quartz crystal in its natural form has pointed ends. This one doesn't because a primary cut has already been made on this crystal. Now, let's take a look at this drawing so that we can determine more about the quartz crystal. There are 2 views. The top view indeed shows us that the quartz crystal has a hexagon shape, 6 sides. While the lower view points out that indeed the quartz crystal in its natural form does have pointed ends. Now, quartz crystal in its natural form cannot possibly be used in oscillator circuits. It must be cut in a specific manner to exhibit its piezoelectric properties. Now, this is saying nothing more than if a voltage is applied to the crystal, it will vibrate. The amplitude of these vibrations are much greater at one frequency than at any other frequency. Now, this one particular frequency is called the natural resonant frequency of the crystal. Now, let's look at some of the crystal substances that possess the piezoelectric characteristics. They are Rochelle salt, tourmaline, and quartz. I know all of you at one time or another have heard of diamond cutting. The reason a diamond is cut is to give it brilliance, and the manner in which it's cut will determine its degree of brilliance. A piece of diamond in its natural form would never be used in a diamond ring, just as a piece of quartz crystal would never be used in an oscillator circuit. Now, when a piece of crystal is going to be cut, imaginary lines are used as the reference points for cutting. And these imaginary lines are known as crystal axes. Let's take a look at this drawing of a crystal and see the exact location of the crystal axis. The axis passing from point to point, or end to end, and directly through the crystal is known as the z-axis. Remember, from end to end, directly through the center. The axis passing through the corners of the crystal is known as the x-axis. Remember, it goes through the corners. While the axis perpendicular to the faces of the crystal is known as the y-axis, going through the faces. Now let's remember these are only imaginary lines and are used as reference points when cutting the crystal. Now, all crystals are not cut in exactly the same manner, just as all diamonds are not cut exactly the same. The properties which a crystal exhibits are dependent on the manner in which it's cut. Now, there are many different cuts, but we're only going to examine 3 basic cuts. Let's go to this chart and see exactly how we make these three particular cuts. The first cut is made perpendicular to the x-axis, which you will recall passed through the corners of the crystal, perpendicular to that axis and parallel to the z-axis. Let's go over and I want to show you the actual cuts now. I have here three crystal cuts. Now, as you can see, they look like small, thin wafers, and each cut looks very similar. Each cut looks very similar. Now, all crystals look the same, but not all will exhibit the same characteristics. Now, you'll recall earlier we mentioned the resonant frequency of the crystal. Not all crystals, naturally, will have the same resonant frequency. Its frequency will be dependent upon its thickness. Let's take a look at two pieces of crystal cuts and compare this difference in thickness. As you can see, the thinner cut here, the thicker cut here. We're indicating here that the vibration of this thinner cut, or the frequency, is greater than this cut. Now, this will always hold true. The thinner the crystal cut, the higher the frequency of oscillation.
That is interesting stuff.
But we've also got what we call cross-polarized light. If you take sunglasses and take one lens and put it at right angles to the other, it goes even darker. It only lets very straight light through. Now, people have taken jewels and precious stones and cut a very thin slice for microscopic purposes, and then shone cross-polarized light through them. And one of two entirely different things happens with every jewel. The technical term is anisotropic jewels and isotropic jewels. Some jewels, in pure light, whatever their color to begin with, they may be red, blue, or green, turn into all the colors of the rainbow and the most fantastic patterns. Other precious stones, in pure light, lose all their color, just go black. And it's only in this generation that people have discovered this unusual property. For example, diamonds in pure light are nothing. Rubies, garnets, just lose everything. There are other stones that are anisotropic and go into these beautiful colors. Now, here's the fascinating thing. The 12 precious stones that God uses to build the New Jerusalem are all anisotropic. In pure light, they are all far more beautiful.
Nobody knew about this scientific discovery until about 100 years ago. The passage in the book of Revelation that lists all of these stones being the foundation stones for the New Jerusalem was written almost 2,000 years ago. Nobody knew this amazing truth about all of these jewels.
I find the stones kind of fascinating, just a little more on it. If you want to check out the previous episode, we got into that a little more. I can't remember the exact one, but it's in there. Just go take a look. So I guess my takeaway from today's clips would be that, once again, we're just showing how we are attacked at every angle. We got these phones in our faces, blue light in our faces all day. I think this is a bigger problem with the youth than it is the older crowd. Not to say that the older crowd don't have the phone addiction, but when we pair that with all the other ways that they're attacking us, spraying us like bugs in the sky, poisoning the food, the smart meters that are on our homes, all the smart products that are in our homes, it's no wonder that we are as sick as we are. And then when you just treat the symptoms instead of the disease, we're all just getting sicker and sicker. A lot of us, and again, I go back to the youth, is a lot of them are on medication. A lot of them are on antidepressants or antipsychotics or something to do with anxiety. It's amazing that they were never really taught to cope like we were, but then they had a much different upbringing than we did. I couldn't imagine growing up with a computer in my pocket. I would be a drastically different person than I am today. I even find that some of them in their 20s almost look like they're in their mid-40s. It's a weird world we're starting to live in. And I really think we're going to see the consequences of what we've done to this generation in the next few years. Many of them are relying on AI to just get through the day. As that teacher pointed out, most of them are just staring blankly at the front of the room. Not many care about school, not many care to be educated. They're just looking for that next dopamine fix. And that's a problem. I myself did some upgrading a couple of years ago when I went for my childcare degree. And I had to take a couple of classes with these kids. When that class started, there was 31 of us. When that class ended, there was 11 of us. And most of them were adults. A lot of them couldn't see it through. It was eye-opening. And how many were actually kicked out of the class for using AI to write their homework or to write their essays was nothing short of astonishing to me. And that's where we're at. Undeserved positions. You know, and that's the dangerous thing about this, is these kids are going to scam their way into a degree, and we're going to have a lot of underqualified people with anxiety issues and all kinds of mental illnesses on all kinds of psychotropic drugs running the fucking world. This isn't the way to go, guys, you know. So that's what I got today, guys. I want to know how you feel about this, so just let me know in the comments. We'll have a discussion as always, but I will see you again in the next one. Till then, 80 Canadian, signing off.